Ladies and gentlemen, your hosts, Michael Wilkes, Angel Ortiz, Dr. Chad, and Sam La Cavera. Go check out beardedbrowns.com and be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Enjoy the show.
What is up, everybody? Happy volunteer minicamp day, guys. I've been so lost in draft stuff and planning a draft party with the guys that I totally missed that it was volunteer minicamp today until I saw people on X posting about a certain quarterback throwing an interception, quarterback who would rename. We'll just keep it there.
Well,
and people find now people are making excuses for that.
to be honest, just to throw in, I don't know if you. I heard there was three interceptions thrown already in underwear camp. But
yeah.
Since we're talking about it, guys, I went to Indianapolis because I thought the combine was today, and I'm on my way back home because it wasn't today. So
yeah, it wasn't today. Mike said, "Man,
by a minute,
2 months too late." Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about that, guys. We're going to talk about obviously draft stuff. We got a couple of things to talk about with that. NFL news. We're going to talk about we got a couple podcast friend mocks is what we're going to call it. We got 3 of them from 3 different podcasts that we consider friends. Hopefully they consider us friends. If not, it's going to be real awkward. And then we're going to have Danny Cleveland come on from West Park Brown Backers. He is going to hop on to talk about a little bit about the draft party happening this Thursday at PJ McIntyre's. Once he comes on, we'll bring him on for that. But Mike, what's up, KP Young? Mike, how's the ride, man? You gotta go potty? Bathroom
I
breaks?
definitely got to go potty. But ride's not bad. The stadium is way more beautiful in person, I got to admit. So this has got me more hyped up for a dome, that's for sure. Like
Lucas Oil Stadium is beautiful, man. I've been there before.
I figured out that it took me 14.8 seconds to run to 40. That was fun. Yeah, it's a good day. No, the drive ain't too bad. I beat rush hour both ways. I got a little bit in Columbus, but I am about an hour from home now.
There it is. All right. Well, speaking of draft parties, we got Danny Cleveland from the West Park Browns Backers.
Danny!
Sorry, fellas.
No,
it went to my junk mail, so I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
that's fine. We know where we stand now.
Yeah, in the junk, literally. You guys are junk.
Are you guys pumped for Thursday? It's going to be big.
Oh, we are pumped and excited and looking forward to it, man. It's going to be great. You want to talk a little about that? Like it's a lot from my perspective. I'm thinking like we still got some notes to do. I'm thinking of some logistics. Like me and Mike are talking about like the mics and how we're going to set up. And there's going to be 5 people on stage, 4 people on stage. That's something we're worried about. But tell me what you're worried about.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, this is old hat for me. I went after you guys because I knew it would be a flawless transition. Like I pay attention to everything. And then I strike when the iron's hot. I'm like, I have to have those bearded Browns backers on draft night. And you guys came up and you looked at everything. You saw the stage. And I think you're going to be impressed by the crowd. You guys already tried the food. You know how good that is.
Yeah, it was delicious.
And but the crowd and people with their kids, you got to see how happy, when these young kids and these teenagers show up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's the young generation.
Yeah, that's what makes it more fun. These kids are going to be really into the draft. Hopefully, more than we are, obviously, because we can't all wait for it to be over. To be honest, but
yeah,
these kids are going to be into it and all hyped up. I'm hyped up to talk about who we grab, and then after that, it's game on. This is when the season starts, so we're all looking forward to it.
Yeah. So let me give you the layout for Thursday. I would get there. I'm just clarifying to people. I would get there early, right? You guys are going to be set up way ahead of time. The food will be flying. The beers will be flying. The draft will be going. And guess what, fellas? Guess what else we have going? That's game 3 of the Cavaliers versus Toronto Raptors.
Yeah.
Oh.
So one TV, not the big one behind you, one little TV in the corner will be dedicated to that as the draft is going on. And then you can update people on that score as well. But I will say you guys will be thoroughly impressed with the staff and everybody at PJ McIntyre's. The food is, I mean, I was telling this, one of the Browns backer friends, tomorrow's Buffalo. Thursdays are always, I mean, not tomorrow, Thursday at the draft, they have Buffalo Thursday. I don't know about you guys, but they make the best buffalo macaroni and buffalo chicken mac and cheese.
I might have to try
Well,
that.
we can't be rooting for Buffalo on draft day for the Browns, man.
No. Well, we just eat them. Yeah.
just eat
'em.
We're dogs. We got to eat, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. But you guys will be thoroughly impressed the way that place runs like a top.
Danny, I'm more professional than this. I don't do the show while driving, but I'm on my way home from Indianapolis. I thought the combine was today, so here we are. I'm on my way home.
You try to try out for a tight end, but
yeah.
Are there any worries you guys have?
No, not. I'm more just an anxiety person anyway, so I'm worried about the place burning down, so you don't have to worry about me. But either way,
I'm worried about the fire safety hazard because we're going to pack that place.
Oh yeah, but and guess what, guys? I didn't tell you this yet. I have a surprise for you, but I'm not gonna reveal that. It'll be revealed draft night, and you guys will be like, "Oh my god!" So hopefully that comes true. This person called me yesterday and wants to be a part of it and everything like that. And hopefully he can move some things around to make that happen. But you guys are going to be like, oh my God. I said to him, I said, you got to go up there and interview with them if you show up.
Jimmy Haslam?
No.
He's going to be in Berea trying to get some picks.
Well, here's the crazy part. Those guys are only 7 minutes away. They could pop down for a couple minutes.
Hey, Jimmy, Haslam's, just pop on in, man. Get a couple of beers.
I got a lot of questions for that guy.
Yeah. So here's the other thing, too. We could talk about whatever you guys want on Thursday, but you know where we're located in PJ McIntyre's and being the West Park Browns backers. We're 7 minutes away from the new stadium.
Yeah.
So that will be a huge jump-off place for game days.
Yes. Yeah, and that sounds like a great spot to have the best podcast, the best Cleveland sports podcast at.
Yeah.
As well.
Well, that's it. We're gonna run this together. You guys can do like kegs and eggs with the Bearded Browns podcast.
Yeah, that would be ideal. That's what we're thinking about. This relationship that we have, you're gonna be about 5-10 minutes away. 7 minutes away. Sorry.
You guys already locked me in for the London game.
Yeah,
or Paris, whatever you want to call it.
How do they? I guess it's not as early there. I was gonna say, how do they scam you into doing that? But it's actually a reasonable time in Cleveland. It's crazy out here.
It's not reasonable for us. We're there at 6 a.m. taking it to the limit. We're ready. When 9 o'clock rolls around,
that would mean I would be there at 3 a.m.
You'll be there. Setting up,
tailgating.
Yeah, we're going to tailgate before that game, but you guys wait until you come Thursday and see. You'll be impressed on Thursday.
Yeah, I'm super stoked for it. Is there something that you're raffling off? You want to talk about that?
Oh yeah. So as you know, the Sack Master, Myles Garrett, he's highly sought after, and it's a Myles Garrett signed frame authenticated. It's not just authenticated by anybody; it's Beckett authentication. And if you're into memorabilia, Beckett is one of the top authenticators in the business. So, and he signed it beautifully. It's framed beautifully. And you know what I look at on a jersey when I have stuff in my basement? I look for the way it's pinned and attached to the board. This thing has not one wrinkle in it. And it's
I'm going to give you all my money and you're going to make sure I win that thing, right?
They're going to be like, it's sabotage.
Yeah. Well, you get and here's the other thing to let people know. It's $20 a wingspan. And guess what? I don't care whose wingspan you use.
Pay Mike about $2 per wingspan, and he'll go.
So when my dad goes,
Do it.
my dad, when he's up at these things, he's 6'4", and he puts out his wings. People, they just use him.
They just go to him. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want that guy to do it.
We got some raffles going on as well. Sam's got a bunch of stuff for us. We're putting together.
Yeah, I got something for that basket, and people are excited that there's a what would you want to call that? Just sign a ticket and put it in the basket. There's no money, like it's just a free like door prize type thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a free basket from the Bearded Browns and the West Park Browns backers.
Yeah, and I have something really, really nice for that too. You really nice for that.
Awesome.
But I can't wait to get you guys in there. You guys, I mean, seriously, it's going to be so much fun, and it's going to be. I think it's electric. And can I just state one thing? And this is just my opinion. And something came out today, and I don't know if you guys got a chance to read it, from the Akron Beacon Journal about DePodesta and what he actually did and everything like that.
Not yet.
That dude had a lot of control.
Chad, you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, take a drink of that water.
A lot of control that guy had. Well, here's the thing. It wasn't control. He was putting, if you're going to take this guy here, you save this amount of money. You know what I mean? Guy here, you save that amount. And I'm not talking about a particular guy. I'm talking about a position. You get what I'm saying? He had a lot of control. So they're saying from the Akron Beacon Journal. So he
placed high value on position being drafted at a certain point.
Yeah, like the money situation. Like and let's be honest, if you watch the movie Moneyball, it was all about the money. You know what I mean? Getting the best product you can for this amount, if that makes sense. So
that's probably why Miles got paid all that money because he wasn't there.
Yeah, but somebody's gonna have to send that my way. I love reading about kind of how things were actually getting worked and getting done in the building because we just make our best guesses. Other than that,
I wonder, that's a really odd time for that story to come out right before the draft.
Yeah, and you can't say. Here's the other thing too, right? That draft last year, right? You could see the difference between that and the last 7 drafts that DePodesta was in charge of. You could see, it's night and day. It's a night and day. The only thing that bothers me about
that draft is the 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You should have just drafted one.
Well, here's none.
Or none, yeah.
I think there was an issue there with names I'm not going to name. I think one guy wanted that guy and the other guy wanted that guy.
It seems.
But I don't think either of them wanted either guy bad enough, or they wouldn't have waited until pick 100 and 140 to make the picks. But that's just me.
You know what's crazy though? I believe, and this is just me, my opinion. I believe he's going to shock everybody this year. Sanders.
Man, that's a bold statement if you're saying Dylan Gabriel is going to shock.
No,
I hope so.
No.
I just don't know if you can shock anybody. Half of like the people that at least follow us are already convinced that he's a Hall of Famer. So I'm not sure if they'll be shocked if he's even average. Like that would be.
But here's the other thing I think though too is I think Watson could start. I absolutely do think Watson could start. You know what I mean? And Sanders would be number 2, right? But you have nothing to lose with Watson starting, if that makes sense. Although people say like, well, you're going backwards because if you really want to build around Sanders, why are you starting Watson? So,
I mean, the thing is, you build around in the draft. So they're going to draft with both of them, not knowing either one who's the guy, and then whichever one reveals himself, if either this year, then the next time they build won't be till next off season. So like, I think you're right. I think whoever is better to be out there playing, you can play, because if it's Watson, well, have him do the best he can, and that just prolongs more time that you have with Sanders to see if you can turn him into anything. And if it turns out Sanders, then you're like, okay, now we play him, and next year Watson will obviously walk, probably either way, unless he just absolutely lights it up. So.
But here's the thing with Sanders, and you guys are ingrained in brown and orange as much as I am. From everything I'm hearing about Sanders, that hurt him was his interviews before the draft.
Mm-hmm.
That's where people were like turning their back on him because, he's coming in there
watch film.
Or he came in there with headphones on with an entourage, it was more about the interview process that got him thrown into fifth, I think. It wasn't the talent. I really don't think it was the talent because here's my thought too about when people are telling me about Dylan Gabriel being good, this and that. If Dylan Gabriel was good, NFL good, you're not in college for 6 years. I'm sorry. You don't stay in college for 6 years if you're NFL
you're
good.
5 foot something as a quarterback, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
The other thing is, but remember this too, Danny. He was getting paid a lot more in college now than he gets paid to be a 3rd, 4th, 5th round rookie quarterback. So these days, if you're, and I'm not just saying good or bad, but if you're Johnny Manziel, if you're Colt McCoy, if you're, I'm trying to think of somebody who isn't necessarily
DTR.
I'm trying to think of somebody who didn't necessarily bust though. If you're like Matt Leinart, if you're somebody who likes college and is pretty good in college, you might stay if nobody's telling you you're a top 20 pick because you get paid way more to play in college.
Well,
we haven't seen it, but I think we might see it. Like guys this year. So for instance, what's his name? Dante Moore went back to college and everybody thought he was going, but like the risk isn't, well, you're going to get picked in the top 10. So you have to go now. And he's like, I can go make $4 million and then go next year. And if I get hurt, I can rehab. I have $4 million.
Yeah, but let me say this. You remember Ed Ogeron, the old LSU coach?
Yeah.
When we asked him about the NIL money, he's like, so now we legally pay them? They've always been paid. They've all
that kind of money.
They had to do
a free Hummer, but not $4.5 million a year.
Well, I don't know.
Hiding that. There's no hiding that.
Shaq kind of threw shade at LSU when he was being paid in college to play basketball down there. Like it was in the millions.
Yeah, maybe 1 or 2, but they're doing it like a whole roster.
Shaq too.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I really wish that Dylan Gabriel hit his growth spurt in college in that 6 years. That would have been nice, but he didn't. So here we are.
Yeah. He didn't have a good first voluntary mini camp, but we'll talk about that later. Danny, I'll let you go on this. In case we don't get to talk to you in a jerk, we probably will. But let our viewers know, who do you want to pick at, if they don't trade, let's just say 6 and 24. Who would be your 2 picks at 6 and 24?
So here's the thing too, right? And they're definitely not sexy picks, but those tackles and those linemen, right? People don't want to see that. Even if there was another Joe Thomas sitting there, people don't want that with 6, and you know what I mean? But here's the situation, I believe. You don't have a number 1 receiver. You got 2s and 3s, or maybe 3s and 4s. There's no number 1 receiver on this team as of today, right? And everything you hear about Carnell Tate stretching the field and blah, blah, blah. But I'm not one of these trade down people no more, because I remember, I forget what year it was, Roddy White. We could have picked Roddy White.
It was Julio Jones.
Oh, Julio Jones. I'm sorry. It was Julio Jones. We could have picked Julio Jones and we traded down. I don't know who did we pick? Barkevius Mingo or something?
No, it was. We talked about this before.
Was it?
I'm trying to think it too.
Go ahead.
Phil Taylor?
Yeah, it was Phil Taylor.
Yeah. He was Oregon? No. What was Phil Taylor? No, Baylor.
Baylor.
Yeah.
But I will say this too. If Jordan Love's there and they took Jordan Love, I'd be ecstatic. Can you imagine? Yeah.
A running back. Okay. That's a rare. Rare.
Because we've always done it where, like, we've picked out a necessity, not the best player. I think if you just start picking the best player left on the board at that point, your team's going to be pretty damn good.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
I disagree. Well, I disagree a ton. You got
how do you?
No, here I'll tell you why, Danny. You have no offensive line that's going to be able to block for your running back. I don't care if it's Jeremiah Love or Nick Chubb in his prime. You fix the main ingredient first. Where the play starts, what gets those A gap, B gap open for you. you could put anybody back there in their prime, and if your line is not creating holes for you, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
We watched it last year.
Mike would take Jed Wills again, apparently.
Man.
As long as he's left tackle.
Anybody?
Why has Jed Wills came up the last 3 shows? Why?
Well, yeah.
If you're gonna say I don't care how good the player is, as long as he's a left tackle, then Jed Wills becomes a pretty good example.
Yeah.
They picked that guy because they thought we definitely need a left tackle, and he comes out as prospect for one. So they just reached and grabbed him, apparently.
Yeah.
But I think we had this conversation when we met for dinner, and we talked about this, right? If Caleb Downs, Arvell Reese, or any of those guys are there at 6, and you're like, well, we don't. Our defense is good. We don't need them. Like, you make your defense even better with those guys. That's my opinion. You know what I mean?
And I'll argue that defense wins championships, but last year the Browns proved us wrong. When you can't score more than 14 points, you're in trouble again.
Yeah,
so
you're in trouble.
I think the difference between Mike and Danny's draft philosophy is Danny is sounding like he's drafting for the next building blocks for the team, and Mike is drafting for what's on the field this year. And that is something that GMs, I think, have to negotiate. Andrew Berry can pick in a way where he's like, I'm not even going to have my job if I don't get this looking different on the field this year. Or he might say, I feel pretty good that if I pick a guy who's great, they're not going to fire me. So I'm not going to.
I think he's going to hit again, man. Year. I'm telling you. I think he's going to hit again. I think he's going to hit again.
That was a very good point, Chad. That was, sorry.
I mean, it's a very realistic in the war room debate.
Yeah. But here, let me ask you this, because I was one of them, right? When they picked that Mason Graham, I'm like, here we go again, right? And I was totally wrong about that guy.
I loved it. Me and Angel were really big from like January on Mason Graham, and we kept saying like, I would debate picking him even if we just traded like down to 3. And we even discussed like he was probably my second choice, even if we stayed at 2. So like we were 2 of the very rare people that were like, oh, we kind of got our guy. And the whole rest of Cleveland was like, son of a.
Yeah. I was totally wrong about that guy.
Yeah.
And what makes him so good, he's a wrestler.
We'll send some stuff. We'll send some stuff to you if you're not following along. Or me and Angel have both been making some Mason Graham hype posts in the last like week. So his numbers honestly surprised me. By the end of the season, I was watching him and I was like, this is what I was hoping to get, the guy you saw in November and December. And when I actually looked at the numbers, that his PFF score was in the mid 70s for a rookie defensive lineman, that's outstanding. And then seeing like he was in the top 20 of all defensive linemen for pressures and for run stop win rate. And I was like, so this guy's stopping the run. He's able to pressure on the pass. His overall grade and score have gone to like the upper end of the league. That's what you were hoping to get at 6.
And he played every snap.
And when Myles Garrett calls you out and says, "Hey man, that guy's playing pretty damn good," you know it's something. But I got to run. I got to go do something. But yeah, I will be up there around 5:30 on Thursday. You guys will have the best time of your life. I promise.
All right. Appreciate you, man. See you.
I'll talk to you. Bye.
Okay.
That was fun.
That is Danny Cleveland from West Park Brownbacker Group in PJ McIntyre. He's a good man.
From my old stomping ground. He's excited. He's hyped like a Browns fan is supposed to be hyped for the draft.
He's got that accent that makes me want to like, join an Irish gang. not even Irish. He's got that thing, he's like, yeah, I'm with this guy who beat somebody up. You know what I mean?
He sounds like he's part of the mafia, so don't mess with him.
In a week, Angel setting random car bombs around the area.
Wow.
He's like,
the car bomb.
Stealing catalytic converters.
Yeah, stealing catalytic converters. No, yeah, it's going to be fun, guys. Come on out. Draft party this Thursday, 7:00. It's free. It's going to be food. There's going to be a lot of raffles. Also, Allstate's going to be there. Get a free drink with a quote. Chips from Cleveland Ketchup and our boy Danny from Dan from Bearded Bastards Barbecue Sauce is going to be there. It's going to be a fun night, and we would like for everybody to be there if they can.
speaking of sponsors, our newest sponsor, Dick's House of Sports in Strongsville, ladies and gentlemen. Get out there, get everything you need at all for your child, for yourself. If you want to play hockey again, they got it. They got rock climbing. They got a little soccer field outside. It's all fenced in. It's real nice there. And the place is literally amazing. You could do literally anything and everything there. It's really fun. Take your kids there, and I'll look forward to us doing some shows over there as well.
Yeah, he's that's a nice spot. I live about 5 minutes from there. I'm actually thinking about going up there tomorrow. So news. Let's break into some NFL news. Volunteer minicamp was today. Like I told you guys before, I slipped my mind that it even was starting today. I was so focused on draft stuff. But I saw a lot on X. A lot of reporters are reporting every snap. It's that season where everyone's going to start breaking down mini camp film, and they're gonna dissect every throw. Every rep means something. Every person getting one less rep or two more reps is going to mean a lot more. So we're going to get into. We thought draft season is silly season. Now that we don't have a quarterback, it's sillier season because everything Todd Monken does is going to mean something either for a quarterback or against the quarterback, and it's going to be overly reported and overly talked about.
Really quick, while you're in that, I was like, oh man, the draft is almost over. Thank God. I log into Facebook and boom, I see a quarterback tracker day one. I'm like, oh man, I forgot about these. Chat's favorite quarterback trackers.
Quarterback trackers, man. Yeah, they posted it today. Unfortunately, Dylan Gabriel is on the totem pole low. Shador threw an interception, and Deshaun Watson went 10 for 15. No interceptions, no touchdowns. Pretty solid day for the vet.
Sounds about right for our offense.
Yeah,
bunch of passes, no touchdowns.
We'll see. I guess Shador's. I've already seen a lot of people saying Shador's interception is not his fault. So you're gonna hear a lot of that. Then you're gonna hear, "Hey, Dylan Gabriel's thrown 2, but no one's advocating why he threw those 2." But they're gonna make excuses for Shador. It's gonna be everything. Here's the thing I thought of. Shador got so very little reps last year, so he had less opportunities to make mistakes. So now he's going to get a lot more reps. It's going to be interesting to see what people say if the interception ratio starts to tick up a little bit in camp. Is it going to be, well, it's just camp, it doesn't matter talk? Or are they going to sit there and blame the receiver or the play calling at camp? It's going to be interesting to see how Shador fans handle that. And it's going to be a battle between, I already see it, man. I posted something on my wall today, and I see the battle of the Watsons versus the Shadors. And
really?
I'm telling you right now.
What's so funny is you don't draft Shador Sanders, hypothetically. Nobody is a Watson fan. You do draft Shador Sanders, and people that are anti-Shador have to latch onto the only person that can beat him out. And so all of a sudden there's this new wave of Watson fans who are really just Shador haters in disguise. It's just
So you guys want to hear something funny? And this is to bring this up. Obviously, the Cavs had a great game last night. They won. Bernie Kosar was there to pull the sword out. Awesome. But guess who else was there?
Miles
Deshaun Watson sitting next to Jabari Thrash. They didn't even put him on a jumbotron. They've been talking about it all day. Whether or not if they did put him up there, do you think the crowd would have booed him? They would have just had zero reaction or cheered for him?
It would have been mixed now. I think it would have been pretty mixed at this point.
Yeah, because you would have the Watson people, they want to cheer. I mean, the Sanders want to cheer, but don't want to cheer because that's their competition now. And then you got the Shador haters man, I didn't like him before. I booed him. I cheered when he got hurt, but man, I'm gonna be cheering now because he's up against the very quarterback I don't want to play. Even if he's the best quarterback out of the two, I don't want him to play. Hey, what's up, Rob Thomas, Dog Pound Collective on YouTube? Shout out to you. What's up, Quick Clips? He is in the room. We said Shador, and he just magically appeared.
There's his ear rang, and he's like, "Oh, I'm late for the podcast."
What's up, Scott Smith? Appreciate it. James Frank, thanks for the comments, guys. Keep them coming.
Scott Smith, all the way from Australia, by the way.
Yes, Australia. Nice. So voluntary. There's not much coming out other than quarterback talk, but there was a presser today. Where AJ Brown to the Pat. Let me get this over with. AJ Brown to the Pats after June 1st. There's a lot of reports reporting to that. Ironically, the person reporting it now is Adam Scheffler. So we know it's pretty legit now. He got a good source, unless other things are happening behind the scene with Adam, but I doubt that. Dexter Lawrence gets traded, guys, this past week. And there was a lot of rumblings that the Browns offered a 39. And I was getting excited because I thought to myself, dude, this is it, the Browns 39 for this guy.
You sent that to us, and I was like, there is no way we're not going to get outbid on that one. It went way higher than I thought. I was like, dude, somebody in the 20s or 30 is being like, yeah, I'll give up more than 39.
Yeah, so I was like,
AFC North swoops in like normal.
Cincinnati comes in and was like, let me do you one better, Cleveland. I'll give you my 10th pick in the first round.
10th
and they swapped
overall. How is this guy 29 or 30? I forget.
29. 20. Okay. 29.
Okay.
Yeah, he had a down year last year, but I thought he would be very good on this front four next to Mason Graham and Myles Garrett because he is a dog. And he was the best player on defense as far as veteran wise, and he got doubled a lot. So his numbers were impacted by that. He was basically the Myles Garrett of their defense. If you would have put him on there, you couldn't double it.
If you can get him for a second, like then, okay, the price made sense. But I didn't think you could get him for, I thought realistic was maybe 24.
Maybe,
and I do not see the Browns using a 5-year rookie first round pick on somebody that starts now and in about 3 years is kind of going to be towards the end when they're looking so much to build for the future. Because I think they got a little bit of a hard lesson last year about where they really were in this build, and so
and they realized
would have been shocking to me.
We handled everything wrong. That's what they
realized. They're just getting over.
Everything.
They're just getting over Deshaun Watson. Next year they'll be able to spend money again. Like there's so much coming around, starting to rebuild last year, and you can really tip the scales and go all in starting again next year. And I just can't imagine they would do that this year and pay that price tag that guy's going to cost. But
Gary said, "We might get a ticket on a live show."
I'm hands free.
So funny.
Hands free.
I would stay live for that. By the way, I would stay live.
Yeah, that would be a good clip. But yeah, so yeah, I was pretty excited. Like an hour later, I was like, "Crap!" Reality is he's gone.
Yeah.
But I think
Frank texted me and told me, and I was like, "Angel's gonna be so mad."
Yeah, I was pumped, man, but it's a good move for both teams. I think I understand why Cincy did it because they want to win now. Though they could probably got someone younger for better contract, but that's not the point.
Yeah, it just feels like an overpay if you're picking in the top 10. I thought of it though, so I found out because I was like, oh shoot, I never posted that thing from Angel asking if the fans would be what they would give up, 39 or 24 or whatever the post was. As soon as I posted, one of our followers messaged and was like, just went to the Bengals, man.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, that kills that. And I was like, well, I guess probably it would have been a steal to get him for 24 or 39 if he went 10th. But we got into conversation, and I was like, what this kind of lights up for me is I look at the Bengals and go, they kind of closed that window, and now they have to rebuild around the quarterback position and their offensive weapons, and then get back into contention while Joe Burrow is still well into his prime. And what the Bengals are sitting there in the war room doing is we're still a Super Bowl team. We just need a couple things and we're right back in the Super Bowl, or else you don't make this kind of decision. That's such a far span of where I look at them as and where they see themselves.
Well, if you look at them offensively and you see, because I did some deep dive on wide receiver stuff this weekend, and I didn't realize offensively they've been the best in the league 2 years in a row as far as scoring.
Yeah, their passing offense and their scoring offense have both been in the top 5.
Yeah. So they see it that way. It's like our offense is going to score. If we can get whatever we can get on defense to help us at least stay in the game as opposed to last year. Which is weird because you get rid of Hendrickson and then you get an old guy and pay him a defensive
Instead, yeah.
tackle instead, which is
I
weird.
like Lawrence over
Yeah,
Hendrickson,
yeah.
and so and they just drafted a pass rusher last year that they need
Yeah.
to try to get to take a leap. But again, I just thought like it's just so different. Like we talked about how different it is in like a draft room. Are you building for right now, for the future? And like they might have a GM who's like, I need to build for right now. And like the fans might be looking at it like, what are we doing? I don't know. I love things that highlight the real like disparity between things like that, where it's
Unlike
like, oh, this
fans.
guy picked a guy who's such a reach, and then he turns out working out, and it's like, oh, because it just had a different mindset of like where this guy is for a team. So I remember all of us being stunned when they draft Carson Schlesinger, and then he's awesome, and you're like, okay, well now I get it. Like,
yeah, I like that pick the whole time.
Yeah, he was good. We never talked about him once, and we thought linebacker was a stretch, but
What's up, Mike?
Angel, real quick, can you scroll our sponsors at the bottom? I cannot do that on my phone. I don't want to get a ticket and show bad driving habit on there.
Where are we? Because I just got something breaking that I didn't hear until just now.
We're at presser.
About to talk about
Monk.
Okay, so before the presser, so we're getting to back to the Browns and their mini camp. I didn't know this. I just got a little. Somebody just texted me this post on Twitter from Rance Riesland. So Coach Riz, friend of
the show,
Bearded Browns ally.
He followed me on Instagram.
Yeah, Bearded Browns ally. He just posted that the Browns quarterbacks are wearing GoPros at camp.
Yes, I saw that.
Simple, smart, and effective way for the coaches to see where the quarterbacks are looking and how they're progressing through plays. And I was like, that's very interesting, given that the last time we saw Deshaun, the big thing was like, physically his shoulders has problems, but he's not reading the field correctly. He's not making the open throws. He's not making the right reads. And then that was the biggest complaint about Sanders too, is it's not arm strength. It's not mobility. It was, he's not reading and finding the open receiver, or he's not following his progression. And that's a really savvy move by the coaching staff to be able to see what the quarterbacks are seeing instead of just asking them.
I'm pretty sure that was a Monken decision because I think they've done that in Baltimore. So that's cool. Again, this points to why they went after Monken. I'm sure they're like, hey, he had this whole plan of, hey, this is what we did at Baltimore. This is how we improve. This is how we're good. And they're like, oh, innovative. GoPros on helmets. Let's do it. Because I've seen it a couple times last year, and I always thought, like, why don't the Browns do that? That doesn't make sense.
I got 2 more GoPros sitting at the house. I will donate gladly to help whatever quarterback we get. I'll announce that right now.
For free. But yeah, so Monk
to get some fuel, Rob. Be right back, gentlemen.
Okay.
Angel, do you want to boot me for now?
Boot. It is booted, I think. Oh, wrong one. Oh shit, I'm frozen. And
boot yourself, Mike.
I would love to, but I don't want to mess this show up.
Yeah, well, my screen's frozen, so let's continue to talk. When it's unfrozen, I will do so. Monken is not controlling the draft, and he confirmed it. You want to go into that? Chat?
Yeah, we just had that silly conversation. Like, I don't know how it even became a topic. I messaged everybody. I got back from this trip, and I started just catching up on Brown stuff. And one thing I caught when I was looking through news stories I had missed and podcasts was all of these different articles and chatter about like who's going to have the bigger voice in the draft, Monken or Andrew Berry. And we all just kind of laughed it off, and we're like, why would it be Monken? He just got here. He doesn't even know the guys on his own team yet. He hasn't been sitting there studying the draft. He's been trying to prepare for his first head coaching position. It's not like he was Harbaugh last year, who was maybe really involved with the draft and has been used to that. Like, this is just all new. And of course, Barry hired him. Why would Barry be like, you're hired and you also have more power than me in the draft room? Like,
yeah,
such a silly topic. But basically, one of the reporters asked him a question about like, will these mini camps have any impact on the draft? And his answer was so like, I don't do the draft, because he's basically like, well, I hope the guys making those decisions are pretty locked in with what we're doing at this point. The draft is in like 2 days. I hope they're not going to be coming to me like, what positions do we need? So basically, it's just kind of like, so, just a comment that goes exactly with what we talked about. Like, wait, I'm not making that call. I'm not about to run into Andrew Berry and be like, now we need to draft this guy because I saw these guys run around in shorts for one day.
It makes you wonder, like, what are reporters thinking to ask questions
Just
like that?
bored.
It's just weird, man.
And I
Weird.
said you almost asked the question, because like that's been a topic, is like, is he gonna be, I'm sure he'll get input. I'm sure the coaches have pointed some guys to him and like, we really love this receiver in particular. How do you imagine using a guy like this or something? But like that weird thought process of he might just like jump in and run the draft board. Like, no, guys, the general manager just got the most power he's ever had, and he had most of it in the first part compared to the head coach anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
Um,
anyways, we can just double squash that weird take.
yes, yeah. So I mean, and he's going to be a good guy to listen to. I missed the presser today. I was watching, was entertaining my daughter and son. But when I saw it on the thing, I'm like, dang it, I forgot he does have a presser out the press. I got to start being on it, man. Put my Ray Bans on and just listen to him.
Mhm.
Next up, Sanders and Watson took first team reps, and Dillon took second. So that's what he talked about. That's the part I listened to. And he talked about they tried to divvy it up evenly between Sanders and Watson, but it ended up being Sanders having one more rep at the end of it than Watson. Um, but that's, I guess you can safely say they're really gonna focus on them two to see who's
Mhm.
gonna start. And
Yeah,
too
he
bad
had
for
some
Dillon.
compliments to say about Gabriel, but it's the same stuff you hear, like, "Oh, he's really smart, he's confident, he was really productive in college." It's just all the same stuff, but they're talking about him a little bit more like we've always talked about him the whole time. Like, he's a guy who's a good guy for the room. He's smart, he understands what's going on out there, and that is great for somebody who's on the sidelines holding the clipboard and, like, reviewing film
Yeah.
in huddles. But it looks like it's as confirmed as can be that it's like Sanders versus Watson, and like they're both gonna get a ton of first team reps. And he made it pretty clear, but before actual
Yes.
training camp,
They're gonna
that is
decide.
gonna be decided. So
And that's
something
a
they should
good
have done
thing
last
because
year.
the biggest thing that and it carried on so long. It got I remember doing a podcast every week and we would have to talk about the quarterback tracker and people dissected interceptions and
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett got one more rep and Sanders only got 2 reps. Well, what are they doing? They don't care about his development. It got talked about too much. And I think Kevin had a good intentions of it. But I think the way they
Yeah,
did it
I think he was like, this guy doesn't know what the game is. I don't want to throw him out there to get like
beat up.
flustered and spiral, which is a little bit of what we saw in that one playoff game. I mean, the one preseason game, but in the other preseason game, we saw him kind of thrive, make plays, do collegey things. So it's like, yeah, I think the intention was like, I can see a long term for this guy, but I'm not gonna put him there while it's not his offense, not his reps, not his like time yet. But
Yeah, and speaking of that, Sanders also, threw some shade at the old coaching staff.
yeah,
Uh,
kind of indirectly, right? He
yeah,
basically was like, well, this coaching staff, unlike some past ones, like are you know there he didn't say it like that. He basically said like, "Well, these guys are teaching me,
that's
and
what he said, yeah.
they're not acting like I don't understand it. They're just teaching it to me differently." And sometimes it's not that a guy doesn't understand what's going on. It's that you're just not talking to him in a way that he can understand. And that sounds a lot like the coaches were asking him or trying to work with him on whatever it was, films, plays, different things, and he didn't know the answers. And so they were like, okay, he doesn't get it yet. Whereas like Munkin is maybe like, what do you get? And let's just talk about that then. Or
Yeah.
however he's approaching it, it's making Sanders more comfortable.
Yeah, it did seem like they were he said, I know how to wa" he said, because I guess I didn't get to hear the question, but I heard a little bit him saying, "I know how to watch film." It's the way that basically the way it's being communicated to me is different than it was last year. And he's big on. He's been this whole his. I guess his
Mhm.
word of the year is going to be your energy. So he was big on like the energy. Like even the media, you guys' energy needs to be positive if you want us to win. Like
Yeah, and so I'm not
I,
luckily, I'm not a big believer in that. I think our media can be a bunch of negative dicks. I don't care, and I don't think
yeah,
that affects the team when they're good. I will say I do think that affects the team when they're bad, when
yeah,
all the stories out of our media are negative. I think that's rough. I think when they create quarterback controversies that aren't there, I think when they like spiral, like all of these things going wrong or throw coaches under the bus, I think that does affect the team to a small degree. But when they're good, I don't think it would affect them.
yeah.
So that's where I disagree is if you guys could go out there and you play well, the media can say whatever they want and you can just go prove them wrong. You can't let that get to you. But I think they'll have a lot less to say if you're just good.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Also, too, like the media is just gonna. I mean, you just gotta block it out sometimes. Just don't listen to
Yeah,
it. Don't pay attention
they're
to
not
it.
your cheerleaders either,
Yeah,
right? So it's like, don't tell them to be positive. If you go out there and you win 5 games or less like you did last year and the year before, that's not their job to be like, "But it's okay." Like, they're just saying that you guys are bad. So go be
yep,
better. And I think that's from Sanders more than anybody. There's a good chance he will be. He struggled last year, and I expect a pretty big jump from him if he gets on the field again.
yeah. KP said some reports are saying that Monken is interested in Tate at 6. Do you think Barry will listen to Monken's opinion or pick whoever he wants? I think
It's a
he
good question.
listened to I think he listened to Kevin last year, and you see what that got him. So I think
I was
he's gonna
just gonna
be.
say
Yeah.
okay. I thought you were gonna
I
say he'd listen, and I'm like, I honestly think if Monken has Sonny Styles at a 97 and Tate at a 94 or 95, and they're like, "I really like Tate," he's gonna be like, "Great, I hope he's there at 24 because we're taking the
Yeah,
guy I have
we'll take a
ranked
Sunny Styles.
3 grades higher." So,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I
but we'll
think
see.
he's going to do what, not to sound like domineering, but I think he's gonna do what he wants. I think
It's his own
that's the
job.
role. Yeah, it's his job.
You
Yeah.
don't wanna get fired because you took somebody that a coach
Yeah.
wanted. Now, when it gets down later in picks and the closer, we'll talk about this later, like big boards and grades are not what people treat them like. But when it gets a little later in the draft, you see more and more of 10 guys with about the same exact grade. That's when you might say, hey, there's 2 receivers here. We have them both at a 76. Did one of them fit what you want to do better or like based on like our roster or whatever it might be, the decisions can be made a little differently.
Yeah. Speaking of big boards, we reached out to 3 podcast friends and 3 of them sent us mock drafts. So we're gonna look into it. First, I want to get into my friend Thorell's podcast, My Dog's podcast, and his mock. It's probably the most different of all of the mocks. This would be my type of mock because he went best player available. Um, he went with Bailey, uh, Proctor alone, Surratt, and I can't see 107. Actually, he went too far. Should have just been 70. I like this mock draft, actually. I think Bailey
Fans
doing
will lose their
I know because he passed on Tate.
Not just
Um,
because we passed on Tate either, because we passed on Tate and they're
and
picking Proctor, and
oh,
everybody
yeah,
keeps saying, "Well, Proctor was at Alabama and Wills was at Alabama, so I don't want another Alabama left tackle,"
yeah,
which
yeah,
I
true.
think is hilarious take. If Proctor is graded good enough to play, I don't care where Jed Wills came from. I'm not picking somebody because he came from the same college as Tristan Wirfs. That's not how football works.
Yeah, it's not
So,
how but I
but
do
fans
like
would hate this.
Bailey. I like Bailey a lot. If that happens, a lot of people, you're gonna hear a lot of rumblings about Miles. Oh, they
All
picked
I can
Bailey
pause
because of
though is in this scenario, what this like the first flag that pops in my head after the fans will hate this is if Bailey's there at 6, it is hard to believe we're not gonna get a real big offer
yeah, we probably will.
for a guy
Yeah.
that some people have like ranked 2nd or 3rd in this whole draft.
Yeah, and I think if he is there at 6, this won't happen because I think that's where those are one of the scenarios that Barry has in his draft board where Bailey's there. We already talked to 2 or 3 teams. this is the best offer. If we get something better, we're going to do a trade. Because I think a team's going to offer him a pretty good amount to jump up to get Bailey. Because I think he's top 3, like you just said, top 3, right? Top 3 in this as far as grades. All the grades I've seen, he's always in the top 3,
He's
maybe
almost
top
always in the
5.
top 3.
Yeah, I've seen maybe 1 top 5, but he's always in the top 3.
Yeah. Yep.
Next is Let's Go Crunch podcast. It's on the Land Media Group's family. They go, well, they're not in season now, but when they are in season, they would go live every Sunday. They picked the going fan rate where everyone goes 6 with Tate, Lomu at 24. Now, Chris Johnson from San Diego State's a good corner. I like that pick. And then Romelo Heights from Texas Tech, tight end. I like those 2 picks.
I see San Diego State.
Yep. Chris Johnson, I believe, is a corner.
Just always makes me smile just to see that name up there because it would be fun. It's always great to get somebody from Ohio State or any like Ohio college, but it would be kind of fun to have a San Diego State guy there for me because a bunch of people I know out here would probably be cheering with me on Sundays.
And that's where I want to talk to you about the draft real quick, because this is a draft where I can see I've seen a lot, like I post a lot of stuff on between our socials, and a lot of people say, if you don't get 2 receivers and 2 offensive linemen with the first 4 picks, you failed. And I say, that's not how
I totally disagree.
That's not how it works, man. That's not how
I think
it works.
Mike would agree with that because, like I said, Mike really wants to see his philosophy right now is I want to see this team completed, even if there might have been a better player on the board. And it's an argument. I'm not going to say it's technically wrong because you could make the argument if they had a good first round quality left tackle and a good first round quality receiver, even if they're not the highest rated guys at that spot, that is probably what gets you the most wins in 2026. Because you took 2 spots we don't have. You added a quality player who will probably start right away. The problem is if you that's why I brought up Wills partially to troll him a little bit because I know he has a thing with Wills, but also because like the reason they passed on Tristan Wirfs, there's been a lot of talk that most people graded Tristan Wirfs as a right tackle prospect, a lot like Maui Noah, like a right tackle prospect who, if he switches positions, would be to guard because of his height, build, arm length, like because of some things, his prospect like grade went to him being at right tackle or right guard. It doesn't mean he can't eventually develop and transition, but like immediately he started 3 years at right tackle. Will's on the other side, even though he played right because Tua is left-handed, his length, his size, his skill set, his movement project him as a left tackle. I've always wondered, did they take him at left tackle because that was a very huge area of need and they needed someone to play there right away. So that's what they picked. And like, that's where a couple years later you complain, like, why didn't we take this guy over this guy? He's just a star. And you don't want to pass on a star at 6 for a okay guy that should have went 16.
Yeah, that's where I'm at because I think a lot of we as fans early on, well, for me, early on, you're like emotional. So you think like we have to get every bit of offense you can get out of this draft. And then you come back to reality and you're like, well, then you're gonna pass. Yeah, you're gonna pass up on a lot of potential other needs. And we've talked about it from the beginning, the whole process, like corner and safety is a need. I know a lot of fans don't see that, but you need a nickel corner and you need a third safety. You absolutely do with this new defense that's coming in. And they may value those 2 positions higher than people assume.
Than fans.
Than fans assume.
Or than draft analysts, because I looked at a bunch. This was a project I didn't put on this. I looked at a bunch of draft needs over the last couple days. I just went to different like drafting websites and I looked up what are the Browns draft needs, and most of the time the sites post 2 or 3. Almost every single site has OT and wide receiver in one order or another, and the third one is always quarterback.
Yeah,
they're always the Browns need receiver, tackle, and quarterback. And I'm like, well, they might need quarterback if one of the guys aren't on this team don't pan out. But I doubt they're looking at it as we need to reach at quarterback. They're probably just thinking we're not taking quarterback unless the value is like really there, because they would have done that
100%.
last year then.
Yeah.
And then again, I'm 100% with you. I think they need a good nickel corner, which you don't necessarily have to get in the first round, because you can pick somebody who falls because they're a nickel. And safeties tend to fall to the second, third round when they maybe have some around higher talent because of the positional value. So I don't necessarily think they're going to try to draft those in the first round unless it just falls that way. But I think 100% your point of fans are looking at two things in two directions: tackle and receiver, and which do we take at 6 and which do we take at 24, totally counting out the fact that they could skip
24.
a reach at 24 at, let's say, wide receiver or tackle if
And
they
get a
see a
safety.
cornerback that they're like, "Oh my god, we have this guy 15th and we're picking him 24th." And then they just get that other position. They hope that
Yep.
somebody falls to 39. Like,
So
that's how drafting really works.
the way I view it is that you have 3 top safeties in this draft, and you're in a position you can get one of them.
Mhm.
And that's the way a GM would view it, right? I need a
And I don't
safety, and
yeah,
the
I
3
do
top
think that's how they
safeties
look at it.
are Downs, the Oregon kid, and the kid from Toledo.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting there at 24 and the safety's still there, I'm willing to bet that 24th pick is going to be one of those safeties, because he's not going to be at 39. And there's a big drop off at safeties after that, where you're going to have to
Yeah.
develop him as opposed to plug and play.
And
So
people
for
have to think about that because GMs think about that. They
yeah,
think, if I pick this guy here, and this is, and again, that's picking for need, but then you have to match it. The way you don't reach is you're like, well, I'm not going to draft him at 5. Downs goes at 5. So you're like, I'm not going to draft him at 6. Not going to reach for that. I'm going to find which positional need is a value for me right now. And if none of them are, or if there's just another guy here I have graded much higher than where I'm picking, I'll take that. Now that's hard to happen at 5 unless you're like, I have 5 guys here that I think are superstars and one of them is left.
mhm.
Then maybe you take them. But like I said, grades get closer and closer together the farther down you go in the draft. That's why things get so spread out. That's why people are much more likely to pick who's going early in the draft as opposed to later, because the grades get closer, and also, like, one butterfly effect pick shifts everything,
Yeah.
you know.
Like
So
people do, they say it all the time when they do their mock drafts. They say, I'm gonna pick this player, and the player they won at 24 is gone. And then you have to reset the whole thing because you
Mhm.
wanted that player. And it's
Right.
not like that in the real in the real draft. So the GMs have to think about, well, if I pick this player, the consequence will be I'm gonna miss out on this player. And a
I
lot
hear
of
people even saying things like, "Oh, I'm gonna take Freeland at 6 because Tyson's gonna fall to 24." And I'm like, I guess you hope, if that's the way you're thinking of it. What if he
yeah.
doesn't?
What if he doesn't?
What if
Yeah, what if he
5
doesn't?
receiver what if there's a run on receivers and 5 of them go early, and you're like, "Oops," like, you you have to be
Yeah, I did
thinking
2
like,
mocks where Tate was sitting there at 12. I'm like, this it's not gonna happen, but I mean, that would be insane, right? So you're sitting there
the
at
Cowboys
12 and you
certainly
pick
shouldn't
them.
be planning for that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like it's a lot of people on the chat too. Sam says that he doesn't think Carnell is gonna be there. Carnell Tate's gonna be there at 6. He'll go before then.
There's a
I
lot of good players, and so
yeah,
the only reason I think Carnell can be there is because most people don't think he's a top 6 pick historically, but he is the one high profile, like, weapon who could go if somebody needs one. The
with the
only thing that gives me
Giants.
pause is the Giants could use some defensive help,
And
even
they
though, like,
do I saw a mock draft where they picked Reese and they had Downs at 10. That would be insane.
I
They have
guess
a
the point is,
blue
like,
quarter, Reese
The
and
Cardinals could pick him, but they also need defense, and the defensive guys at the top of the draft are graded
are good.
appropriately.
High,
The
yeah.
Giants, who else? Like, everybody up near the top could easily fit in one of those superstar defensive players, and so I don't know if they're gonna take receiver. None of them are like, "That's the final piece we need." they can always be like, well, it's a deep receiver class,
Yeah.
and we can always pick one next year.
And
We
that'd
need a
be
star.
something to watch, interesting to watch it, because if there's an offensive player or two that goes before 6,
Yeah.
you best believe the Browns are going to be getting calls from other teams
Yep.
below that want a defensive edge rusher
Yep.
or a
Correct.
linebacker, because Sonny Styles may be
It
there
hurts
and Bailey
us.
will be there.
It hurts us that Maui Noah just had a surgery. It hurts us that Ruben Baines news just came out, and now teams might be like, I don't know about the optics of this.
Yep.
And so, like, it hurts us when guys, like, something happens to slip them who aren't guys that I thought we were going to pick. So, we want those guys to be as valuable as possible, so somebody wants to trade up for them. But again, like, the other thing is a lot of people like Sam, like, the Giants could load up on receiver, but it is very, very rare for a team that has a number 1, like, just a traditional wide receiver 1, like the Jets, the Giants. Doesn't matter what you think about Marvin Harrison. I think the Cardinals believe he is a wide receiver 1, even though he struggled early in his career and nobody expected it. Those guys have a guy that they picked high to be their wide receiver 1. It would be rare to use another pick on a guy that high. That just doesn't happen.
Yep, I agree. So that's our gripe with mock drafts. Me and Chad were talking about that in the chat one time this week, and I'm like, "Do we got to talk about the
The real
difference
gripe is
between?"
it gives fans the idea, because people do that, because mock drafts are like, here's what we believe your need is from like an outside of the team perspective. And Andrew Berry might be like, our need is safety because we're going to let this guy walk next year. Or our need is actually, you know, defensive linemen because we're not planning on re-signing these guys. So like, we don't know the needs the way they do, but they pin these like arbitrary needs into these positions. And that's how even mock drafters say they do it, a lot of them anyway. And then they literally do stuff. I listened to one where they basically will pick a guy and like, I believe the Browns are going to pick him, and that's a mistake. They shouldn't. And I'm like, well, then, like, you're mocking that they're going to pick the wrong guy. But but they're like, well, this is their big need. And I just think the needs don't match, and it gets fans these same names over and over and over and over. Like we just talked about with Danny Cleveland. He wasn't expecting Mason Graham because most places weren't talking about him. He just kept hearing Hunter, Sanders, Abdul Carter. Hunter, Sanders, Abdul Carter. Then we pick a very good player, and that's not who he was expecting, so he's upset. And like, mock drafts get people to expect certain things to happen, and then they don't, and people freak out.
Yeah. So I've learned something new this past week when I was doing some research, and the defenses are switching to 3 safeties. So this is why I've been high on getting downs. 3 safety look. It's called big nickel, where you're spot on track. It's a trend in the NFL, and it helps protect against 2 tight end sets who are athletic. So you have 2 safeties that can take a tight end, and then you have a safety that can play in the box. So I think personally, I think Rudenberg is going to come in and implement this. This is why I think personally the Browns are going to target a safety. They're going to try to get one in with that second round, but I think they're going to keep a close eye at 24, because if they feel he's going to be gone before 39, you're going to have a corner, a safety high. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if they go offensive lineman, safety, and corner with 39, because what also you need with the big nickel is a nickel corner, which we pounding on the table. We don't have currently on this roster that is efficient enough to play. If anything, you don't definitely have depth. So that's something I just want to put out there. By that way, I can clip this later and be like, see guys, we told you, we look for a safety in the first 2 rounds.
And I'm still not sure that they're going to take the safety that high. I feel like that's a pick they would pick if they got to trade back maybe or something. And I only say
that
that
would
for
be
2
a
reasons.
perfect
One,
scenario.
it makes him like the second highest paid safety in the league. And I don't think we're in the business of like drafting that kind of guy. And 2, I do think that Andrew Berry brings up all the time positional value, and I just don't think he has safety that high. But I do think who knows if he's like, was our number 1 player in the whole draft, and you trade back to 10, like who knows how it could work out. But I'm with you in the idea that like, I will be one of the people that aren't surprised if a safety or cornerback, I've already mocked a cornerback at 24, and a safety at 39. Like
Yeah.
I've already thought both those positions, like that's what I think is realistic. And we know Barry is not shy about taking a cornerback or a safety in the first 2 rounds. Those are things he'll do. So I'm with you in that, like, if they have a grade on Neil Warren that's like top 16 and he's sitting there at 24, then all of a sudden you get into a position where like this guy's too good
Yeah.
to let slip.
It's
So
gonna be really cool to see though, if they do trade back, that changes everything because then you get
of course,
3 picks in
yeah.
a first, and then you definitely can go tackle, safety, receiver, receiver, tackle,
I
safety,
think their
corner.
ideal would be to get a next year's first. I just
Yeah.
think it would have to be a team with a quarterback willing to make that trade up, like
Yep.
the Chiefs, a team
Yeah.
who's like,
We
we
don't
have
need
the
a quarterback
quarterback,
next
so
year.
we're not stashing up for next year. That's who I think would give up 2 picks, and like
Yep.
maybe the Cowboys because of who they have, maybe but the Jets. People are like the Jets and the Dolphins both have a ton of first rounders and could trade up, but I just don't see them giving up first rounders when they don't have a franchise quarterback.
Yeah. Jordan Tyson had a video out on X, and people were, and I sent it to you because I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm reading these comments, and people are saying this is why he has hamstring injuries. Maybe I should have grabbed that so I could show it to everybody. But uh, the biggest thing is that he's not planting his feet correctly, and that's why he's having hamstring and knee issues. So what is your thoughts on that and Tyson's
Yeah.
injury as far as
Well, I
post?
saw the video and it was getting shared a lot. I was surprised at like when I clicked it, like how much traction it was getting. Basically, he is it's like 2 clips in slow motion, run like forward and back, where he's juking like left and right. He's shuffling though. Like and in slow motion, like he's planting, but at the time his foot like hits the ground or in the way they're showing it, he's barely hitting the ground before he's like shifting his weight. I just saw it and basically said 2 things. 1, he doesn't have knee problems. He had somebody like Nick Chubb tackle him
Yeah.
low into his knee and a bunch of ligaments torn. Nick Chubb has maybe the most powerful legs I've ever seen. It doesn't matter how strong your legs are. If somebody's going to dive into them and they're planted, they're going to break. And then on the other end, it was like, and then his hamstring, it has nothing to do with his hamstring. That's not what your hamstring does. His hamstrings get torn almost always, not always, but almost always with like an unexpected movement or or a really quick acceleration. And this is like him juking and like doing exactly like what he's trying to do, and then not like really a full launch acceleration. You hurt a hamstring like running a 40 or like when a cornerback flips his hips and then has to really quickly accelerate to catch up to a receiver who's running straight. Like it is a acceleration injury most of the time in football. And so I just thought it was interesting because like nothing in that video gave me pause about his knee ligament injury or his hamstring. Most of the time, by the way, when you see somebody pull a hamstring, it's up in their butt. It's not like
It's not.
the
That's
tear's not happening typically
yeah.
down in the knee. It can, but you're going to see almost all of them. A guy kind of grab his butt because that's where the hamstring
That's what
tendon
yeah.
is a
Fanning
little
grabbed that
thin,
after that
and the
touchdown.
hamstring can be really powerful and it pulls. And the part where the hamstring switches from muscle into the bone is where the tear is. So again, if you see that kind of stuff, like don't fall for this, like, oh, this is why he has problems, because like those are just unrelated to his injuries.
I also think it started with one of those X accounts where it's a parody account, and you know how it has like it'll be like Dr. Robert, and you can just tell the photo is like doctored or AI, and people just fall for it all the time and just share it. I think it started there, but I wanted to get your
Yeah.
opinion because I was looking, I'm like, man, kidding?
Yeah, he does have wonky movements. He toes out similarly to Harold Fannin, and he is doing like really weird, like
Like
juking movements. Like
like
they're awkward
swaying, yeah,
movements, and they're awkward in the legs because there's times where like he's trying to like fake like he's going to go this way, so his leg starts to dip, but then he doesn't put it on the ground, and he kind of pulls it back up again and
yeah.
changes his momentum. And so he needs a stronger butt. Yeah, Quick Clips is right. He needs a
Yeah,
stronger butt.
stronger butt,
He needs a more
squat,
stable butt. And honestly, like nothing, like I said, nothing. The knee's rehabbed. Like that's not.
yeah,
He might have hurt the hamstring because like he was compensating or doing something weird after the knee injury for a while, like, and it just wore out, and then he tried to sprint and it pulled. Like
Yeah.
that happens.
Next up, you were talking to me earlier before we hopped on about a new combination big board, and you're going to have this thing possibly done by draft day. You want to talk more about what that is?
Yeah, I'm hoping. So basically what I did was there are sites out there that grade how people do at making a big board. And I think a lot of times we just get used to who's on TV, and on one channel there's Mel Kiper, on the other one it might be Daniel Jeremiah. Um, but there are sites out there that will actually grade how accurate these big boards were, not so much based on how the player does in the future of their career, but this guy said these guys are going to go in the top 10, and 10 of them went in the top 10, so they get a 100% score for that. And then
Mm.
these guys are going to go 11 through 20, and 9 of them go 11 through 20, so they got 90% on that. And of course, as you get farther out the draft, it gets a little more challenging. So some of these guys are doing like 150 top 200 big boards, and so there's analytic sites that will compile all that data, throw it through the algorithm, show like how accurate were these guys chunk by chunk all the way through their boards. And so what I basically thought is it's really nice to follow a draft board on a draft day, but I don't always know who's to follow. I think my go-to guy for a couple years, or for a lot of years, has been Todd McShay, and I
Yeah.
don't think he gets the props he deserves. He actually ranked first over the last 5 years in being accurate at predicting where these guys will go, and not in mock draft form, because I don't care if he gets the team right. I care if he's like, this guy's a top 10 talent, he'll go in the top 10, and he does. Because I think I look at team needs a little differently, because you're looking at long term versus short term, and the discussion we just had basically. So, anyways, my goal was to take some of the highest ranking big boards, especially ones who went out for a while and ranked like the top 150 or 200. And I want to put together with a grading system like an average of those big boards to make kind of one combination big board, because well, A, because I don't just want to follow one guy's thoughts, but B, um, I don't want to take everyone's opinion and do like the mock draft database one where it's like, these are the 2,000 boards I found online. Like, I don't care about everybody's. Like, I don't care about ones from guys I know don't watch any film or talk to any teams. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 5 specific big boards based on how well they did in the last years, how much information they give you, how far out they graded, and how good they did last year and over the last 5 years, and have a big board that like our fans could follow as these guys get chipped off the board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 18, 19, 20. And they can look at this big board and say, okay, so these are the top 3 guys left available. And then like maybe there's a receiver way down here, to give a better idea of like where the Browns might be picking, and why you don't get mad when you have Mason Graham on a consensus big board as the 2nd overall player or the 3rd overall player, and the Browns take him at 6.
And then you're like, oh well, that makes sense. That's why they picked him
Yeah.
at 6, because he was ranked 3. So I actually
Yeah.
did
Or
pretty
like
good.
they have like Tet McMillan, like, is another guy they could have picked. A lot of guys wanted him
Yeah.
because we wanted receivers. But then if I had put this together last year, maybe I see Mason Graham as like the 3rd like combination guy, and Tet McMillan is 9th. And you're like, okay, so that's why at 6 they would take this guy over this guy, even though the position is receiver, and that sounds nice.
Yeah,
So like
he
I think it'll
I
be good to follow.
read a story on him. He said he played 10 pounds under what he normally would have played last year. He said he got that 10 pounds back. So it'd be interesting to see
Okay.
how well he plays. I mean, he played pretty good. He surprised me. I didn't think he
You
would
can
be
keep the
that.
power.
Yeah.
If you can keep the power and the movement at that weight, that's obviously a bonus. So
Yeah. Next up is let us pick our top 3 choices for players based on who would be expected to be there in each of the first 3 or 4 picks. You talking about in the first round?
well, just with our first like 3
Oh,
picks.
okay.
So I
Of the
was gonna
Browns.
hear Mike. I was hoping was gonna be on,
I
but I
texted
was
him. He
gonna
hasn't
give you
responded.
a big board idea of like the guys that should hypothetically be available
At
at
6.
6 or 24 or 39, and see like if these are the the guys that should be available without hoping someone falls to you. But if you just start at that spot, like 6, 7, 8, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, like if those are the guys, I kind of wanted to hear like who are the 3 that you are most interested in seeing in a Browns uniform at that spot. And I was hoping to have the consensus big board fast enough to do this, but I don't. And so I just took the top big board that I had as far as grading to do it. Or I
KP
was going to
says
use
McMillan in Cleveland wouldn't have worked because Chad O'Shea couldn't solve wide receiver problems with anyone he drafted.
Chad O'Shea has not done a good job. Who said that? Chad O'Shea has not done a good
KP.
job developing wide receivers. I was blown away that Isaiah Bond made an impact on the field last year, given how little camp he had and how I had no faith that our wide receiver coach can make more out of little. And I'm not saying like he doesn't do anything. Like Cooper came here, did elevated. Judy came here, had his best year of his career. I'm just saying like I haven't seen us bring in rookies and like if they're not a star rookie, which we haven't drafted any, I haven't seen him meld anybody into a useful player. So
yeah. J Dub. Where I got my hoodie from, I will tell you here in a second. It's called Cleve 23 in South Park Mall. CLE 23 South Park Mall. It is a very affordable place. I was tempted to ask the owner if they want to sponsor our show because their hoodies are comfortable, they're affordable, they're $25. You go in there, you pick a color hoodie you want, and they just iron it on, whatever design you want. Yeah, it's South Park Mall, $28 for a hoodie. Nice. I'm a big hoodie guy, so I'm like, I gotta get another one for the draft. I about to pick my fit out for the draft, so I'm getting me another hoodie. So yeah, let's play this game. So what's your top? My top.
So I'm just gonna use this consensus big board that I have available to me because our particular one's not done. And so basically, this is more voices than I want in the room, but we'll take this consensus big board and I'll tell you at 6 who the next. You can have me keep going if you want, if the guy, or ask if a guy is there. And I'm just going to give you who's there on the board for you at 6, sort of like a mock draft, but not like pick somebody, more like who are your 3 favorites out of the guys left. And let's not do a mock. Let's do more like these guys should be there because they're actually ranked at or lower than the spot on most people's big boards.
All right.
So, okay. So at pick 6, the rankings for 6 and down are Carnell Tate, Caleb Downs, Delaney, Mansour Delaney, Ruben Bain, Francis Maui Noah, Makai Lemon, Spencer Fano, and Jordan Tyson. So those guys are all guys on the big board who are available.
I'm going to stick to my
3
conviction.
names are you excited about there?
The Ohio State guys. You go Tate. You went Tate, Downs, and Delaney. Those are the 3 I would be excited about.
The Delaney is okay.
Safety.
And positionally, man, would it not blow Browns fans' minds if Delaney ended up on this team when nobody is talking about cornerback or safety for that matter? I think the difference with Downs is people are excited about Downs
because he's Ohio State,
the Buckeye, but like Delaney would like throw fans upside down. Like, what are you doing? Fire Barry, like immediate X responses.
Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, I've done and I'm not trying to. I have no life, so I've been doing a lot. I really think safety is going to be a priority. So and for me, I think safety is a best player available and a need. So they take care of 2 of 1.
So you see your Tate's down and Delaney.
Yeah, Delaney. Yeah, those 3.
Okay. And then then we're swinging down to our second pick. So this is nothing to do with the first pick because we don't have somebody. So there's no positional. I did this here, so I have to do this here. So at 24 and on, we've got Caden McDonald, the defensive lineman for another Ohio State guy. So many Buckeyes this draft. Caleb Lomu, edge, TJ Parker, quarterback, Avion Terrell, Casey Concepcion, Manuel McNeil Warren, Max Ianachor, I think.
Yeah, Ianachor.
That one.
I would
Colton Hood and Ty Simpson. Denzel Boston is also there.
All right, give me Lomu, because you do need a left tackle. Give me oh shoot, I just forgot his name. Give me those names after him again. His name slipped.
Uh,
Lomu.
Emmanuel McNeil Warren, Colton
not him.
Hood, Casey
Hood. Give me
Concepcion.
Hood there,
Another corner.
and then Boston.
Okay. So kind of positional, but also guys you like that just kind of like.
Because I think
those
Hood
were
could play nickel if you need him to, and
Uh-huh.
obviously Lomu, you need an offensive
You
lineman.
really want
Boston.
somebody who can come in and play nickel as a rookie, but as Ward gets older,
Hood would
you
be
hope
that.
turns into one of your two starters. Yeah. Yep.
That would
Okay.
be.
And then last one, and this isn't too far away. So, but the names that are left on the board at 39, we got linebacker CJ Allen, offensive guard Chase Besantis, Lee Hunter, D lineman, linebacker Jake Golday, Malachi Lawrence, edge, Brandon Kassay, cornerback, Mason Thomas, edge, Emmanuel Pregden, offensive guard, Chris Brazel, wide receiver, and Kalen Rutledge, offensive guard.
I'll do Rutledge, Basil or Bizzle.
Yeah,
and shoot, the other one, the the other person I really wouldn't be too much invested in to care. What's the edge? You gave me two edges.
There's Mason Thomas and
Mason
Malachi Lawrence.
Thomas. Yeah, Mason Thomas.
You like
That's
Mason
it.
Thomas?
Yeah, I do like
Okay.
Mason Thomas.
I
Or
just think
Mason
it's a
Thomas.
funny drill because you're like, well, I can go with needs here, but I don't know who I picked the first
I
pick,
forgot.
so I got to kind of add the couple.
Yeah.
I got to kind of add the couple guys that I like, and I
I
think
wish Mike was
if
here.
we looked at drafts more like that, and it was like, give me 3 names at 2, and you look at all the guys like 2 through 5, you have a lot less sticker shock and a lot less like unfamiliarity shock on draft day. I remember, I'll never forget the amount of Browns fans from the Browns backers or just friends that messaged me after the Browns picked Denzel Ward at 4, being like, I never saw that coming. And I'm like, he's a top 6 ranked player on like every person's big board. How did you not even think it was a possibility?
Because he's a corner. That's
nobody was mocking it to him.
Yeah.
Nobody was mocking him to us. And it was like, so no, he was on nobody's radar, and everybody had to kind of like, even though he was a Buckeye, people were just like thrown off. Like, I think people would be excited eventually, but so thrown off if the Browns moved around and ended up with Downs early, like it would throw them, or a cornerback, it would throw them so far off because nobody's considering it. So just consider it. Look it up. You got 2 days left.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would. I agree. Last topic here. Cowboys. There's a lot of potential. Kansas City, I saw pick swap with us in the first round.
Those are 2 that I think are actually realistic.
Yeah, and Cowboys. And a lot of people are like, well, I would want next year's first or throw in next year. That if you look at the actual trade and put it in a trade, like do a mock draft and you do that trade, it's dead even. And if you try to add a first next year, they'll tell you too much. So that
even if you
trade
try
is
to
realistic.
take off, even if you try to take off their later pick for next year's first, a lot of them are going to be like,
too much. That's not fair. And they'll tell you force the trade. So most people do that just to say, this is what I got. But yeah,
I hate looking at people's mock drafts online.
Yeah. So I posted that on our Facebook. People are like, you need more. I'm like, well, I mean, this is the fair deal. Like, unless Dallas is feeling generous and you throw a 3rd round pick in, but I don't see him giving you an extra 1 next year just to move up a couple of spots in the draft.
Yeah, and I heard something like some hypothetical where like the Cowboys, I think, were the team, or it might have been the Chiefs, but I think it was the Cowboys, and the hypothetical was they give you, is it 10?
The Cowboys would be 12 and
12, or
and
the
20.
Chiefs give you 9 and next year's first, but you have to give them 6 and next year's second or something like that. And it's like, So you have to give up something 2 next year to
Yeah.
offset that 1, and it's gotta be something pretty good, which would be a 2, and for us, that could be a
That'd
pretty
be
valuable
pretty high.
2.
That could be
And they're
39.
like yeah, they're like, "Don't get away from these mocks," where they're just like, "Yeah, this team just gave you next year's first in a
Yeah.
draft class that people are already talking about," like
Offensively, if the quarterbacks come out, even if half the quarterbacks, you also got to look at the receivers that may
here's
come
the
out too.
yeah, and here's the big thing about quarterbacks. If there's I don't know if it'll be a good quarterback class. They say that every year.
Yeah, they do.
Um,
Eventually, it's
um,
going to have to be a good quarterback class because they eventually have to come out, right?
yeah,
Right.
but they Drew Aller did eventually come out, and he's
Yeah, and he
worse than
did.
anybody expected. And Nussmeier came out, and he's worse than we expected. And like, just because they come out next year's class doesn't mean they're
That's
going to
true.
have these years that blows everybody away. Like, they're not all going to have like fantastic college seasons. I hope they do. I hope it's 2024 all over again, where
Yeah.
it's like Nix and Williams and Daniels and like and May, and I hope that is the class. That would be terrific. But like, I don't know. But I guess my point was to say, even for the teams that aren't taking quarterback, when that many quarterbacks come out, they go early and they push
Yeah.
very talented players later than they should go because people will take a quarterback with a 95 grade over a defensive
90.
lineman with a 97 grade
Yeah.
because quarterback's just valuable to them. So it
Right.
will push receivers, running backs, defensive players that should be going in the top 10 out of the top 10. And so if quarterbacks come out next year, so even like a team like the Cowboys are like, I don't want to give up next year's pick, even if we
'Cause
have a quarterback,
I can
because
get a
I
good
can get somebody
receiver.
really valuable while all you
Yeah.
suckers pick Zach Wilson too high and Mitch
Oh,
Trubisky too
yeah,
high. I'm gonna reap the benefits.
Dallas would like, we can let go of Pickens and draft a good receiver because it's supposed to be a wide, deep receiver draft too.
Yep.
But so we're going to present this trade. Like, say hypothetically, you get 3 first-round picks. Does that change the strategy and how you draft your players? And I would think so because you're getting 3, obviously. So you can get
Yep.
3 because you don't get that second round. So you got to treat 24 as if it is your second round on day 1. But you're getting a
Right.
higher positional, a higher value player.
I think it allows you
Um,
to take some more chances for
yeah.
sure.
So then you would wonder, do they take a Proctor at 20 that might be developmental or even
Yeah.
12 because they move down to
I've heard
12,
so
20,
much
24.
about both Proctor and
Yeah, me
Freeling not being ready to
Yeah.
step in right now, and I'm like, it's funny that people like want us to reach for left tackle to fill that position, but the 2 guys I see most mocked there are the 2 guys that most of the analysts that I listen to are like, "Oh, he shouldn't start at the beginning. He should start way later. Like he
Yeah.
should take this year off or at least most of it." And you're like, "Well, then just wait till next year."
Yeah.
If you're
That's where I'm at with the line. Like I'm at the point where it's a reach at 24 with Freeling. I like Miller. I think if he's there, I like him
I
a
like
lot.
Blake Miller. I like Lomu too
Yeah,
more
I
than
like
most
Momu too. I like
because I think
those
he could
2.
play day one. And if you're going to take a guy who's not a superstar, then you want a guy who's at least ready to go.
Ready to go. And those 2 I think are ready to go, especially if you can get them at 2024.
Yeah.
Um,
Less projection, less risk, less
yeah. And I
chance of
think,
bust.
yeah, and less as far as draft value because you get them lower in the
You get
draft
him
in the
later,
first
right?
round and later. Um,
People are a little easier on him.
yeah, and then you can, yeah, like you said, people are easier. They're like, oh, he's a 24th pick, he's got time. And now if you give him at 6, they're like, you better be Joe Thomas by game 3 or he's a bust.
Also, you
It's
pull
just
off that trade before you pick at 6, which means now you can think, okay, I don't necessarily have to like now if you see a defensive player who's graded much higher
yeah,
than where you're picking him, you could take him, or that might be a spot where these receivers actually hit the value if you're picking around 9, 10, where like guys like Tate, Tyson, and Lemon actually feel a little bit better value if you have them on your board around 10 instead of like taking them at 6, where you might still have a guy that you see as I have not heard one person tell me I look at Tate and I see a superstar receiver, but you might have a guy who is a superstar safety, a superstar pass rusher, a superstar linebacker, and that's what makes it tough is do you take a guy who's good at a spot when you can take a guy that you have graded as a blue chip superstar? And again, and I've heard and I said, I don't know what Tate will be. I don't know if it hurt or helped him to have Jeremiah Smith with him. I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is better than advertised. Emeka Egbuka ended up better as advertised. Garrett Wilson and Olave are kind of exactly kind of where I thought they were. Harrison is worse than advertised. He was supposed to be like the generational
he's supposed to be
super
what Jeremiah
receiver.
Smith is type of
Right.
yeah.
And honestly, like, I don't know. So I don't know where they see these guys, but it does make you feel like, well, if you're picking at 10 and you have a bunch of guys that are just good day one starters, then you can do that. But it depends on how they see them. And that's where I think the fit for both offensive tackle and receiver may not be at 6 because there may be a guy that they just have a whole tier, may not be a giant grade difference, but a whole tier ahead of the other player. And that's where you can't give up, you know, as silly as it sounds, you can't give up a Carson Schlesinger last year at 33 for a wide receiver who just didn't show anything last year because that's how you get yourself fired.
Yep.
Is by like picking the position when you can say like, don't fire me. Look at these guys I picked. They're all awesome.
Yep.
You know, maybe
That's
they
what
didn't get the team wins, but everyone I picked is good.
Hasn't pointed to that at the press conference. So he's like, the draft we had this year, Andre Smith, we didn't give up on him. So I mean, he was grasping at straws, and everything was pointed to this year's draft. Barry turned it around. That's why he's staying, and he gets to do it.
You need
one
players
more time.
who can even if they don't impact from day one, when you first see them, whether it's midseason at the beginning, if you're a GM and you're in the position Barry's in, it may be less important how many total wins you get and more important that you picked 10 players and at the end of the year, 5 of them look like they can play NFL football at a high level and you're like, okay, I'm not going to fire that guy. He can obviously evaluate talent and pick players. So that's where like picking positional need is less because if you actually pick players that are good, you could say the guys weren't there. The guys weren't there for our scheme, and you get believed because you obviously knew what you're talking about.
Yep. Yeah, and you'll get to see it this Thursday on how Andrew Barry is going to handle the draft, and we will be live at PJ McIntyre's at West Park, in Cleveland, Ohio, 7:00 till probably, I don't know, 10:30, whenever the draft ends. We're going to be there lollygagging, having fun. Me, Sam, Logan, Gary, and Mike. It's 5 of us are going to be there.
Big five of them.
We're gonna do different things
in my neighborhood, no less.
Yeah, we're gonna go switch on and off 3 here.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to get a lot of crowd content to do some reels and stuff that we're gonna post. I have some funny questions I want to ask fans. I want to see how they feel about the draft picks as they go. I want to get as soon as a pick happens, I want the emotion.
I want some
the excitement.
honest, immediate reaction and honesty.
Yeah, that's what I want, and I want it on our page. So I'm gonna get that right away. Oh my goodness. Steve just said the draft isn't until I hope not, man. Now last year ended about 11 when we did ours.
Yeah,
it ended about 11.
You said 10, and I immediately was like,
Yeah,
"You're feeling optimistic there." It's
Yeah.
an 11:00 event.
Hopefully they hurry it up. some picks. They put a pick in quicker than normal, but we will be live doing that. So tune in, and if you're in the area, come by, hang out with us. Man, we got a lot of raffles, a lot of giveaways that we're going to give away, plus a couple of door prizes. It's going to be fun.
Good luck keeping people off their phones. Tell them no spoilers. I hate when people are like, "Oh, the Browns pick is in, and it's this," and you're like, "We're all watching it.
Yeah, we're watching it."
Can you wait the extra 30 seconds?
Dupree Entertainment just came in. That's like our first Twitch comment ever, so I got to read it. Can't wait for the Browns to ruin Tate's career.
Oh, come on, man.
And it's a positive one. Sam's going to be the hype man. No, Sam, man, you're going to be our Mel Kiper dog. You got to get that Bible out of your papers of draft analysts that you've been writing down.
Shuffling them
You're going to be shuffling out. We want to see it, man. It's going to be like a big cloud of dust coming out. Yeah, get that.
I need to
ready,
get. That's
Sam.
what I need to get the consensus big board to. I need to get to Sam
Yeah, give it to
so he can
Sam, and
actually
he'll
have it in
yeah,
printed paper there and like
yeah.
cross guys off as their picks.
He'll have a highlighter just
Mhm.
with his glasses on, like, hold on, I gotta find him.
Brown highlight, orange highlighter goes to our team, and
Yeah,
everybody else just gets like knocked off.
nice. If they can't get the quarterback right the last 20 to 30 years, good luck, Tate. Hey, hey, I don't keep my team name out of your mouth,
They
Dupree.
had it right till they didn't.
Yeah,
They're like
exactly.
Baker's pretty good. We can do better.
You can do better. A guy that then doesn't show up other than 8 games. All right, thanks guys for tuning in every week. We will be. I don't know if yeah, I'm pretty sure the guys will be live this Saturday, 10 a.m. Oh, not a huge. I almost forgot. Going nuclear. Here's his mock draft. We got a new show underneath the Land Media Group podcasting network, the Going Nuclear. You guys might remember him. He was on our podcast this past year. Man, his name just slipped my mind. Dang it. I was just talking to him this week. He is going to go hold on, I'm looking for his name. Ethan Greenberg. That's his name. Ethan Greenberg, him and a friend. Going Nuclear will be live on our Ohio the Land Media Group. The Land Media Group, they will be live every Friday at 7 o'clock.
I'm
Every
glad
Friday
after
at
a few
7 o'clock.
tries. I'm glad after a few
Yes.
tries you got our own
Dude, I
media
cannot
group's
believe I
name
talk to
right.
Ethan like all the time. I'm like, what is this guy? I'm just having a fart blank.
Even
But yeah,
well, you
uh,
would tell him I had trouble remembering your name, but I also had trouble remembering our media group for a second.
yeah,
So like, nobody
I have trouble with long names. Okay, the Land Media Group.
yeah,
It's
I
our
like it though.
yeah, it's a nice name. It's just, as an old man, sometimes I don't remember. But here's his mock draft, by the way. He will be live this Friday. So tune in to that. Going Nuclear. Look for them on your socials too and give them a follow. New podcast to the family. We're growing, man. We got 2 soccer podcasts. We got Going Nuclear, which I think they're going to do all type of sports. That's Guardians podcast, and Bearded Browns and Browns Morning Brew. We're growing, man. We got. See, do you see why it's hard for me to remember names? It's like kids.
Yeah, it's a
Like, it's
lot.
just hard. It's a
I
lot to
already
remember.
forgot half of the ones you said. That's just too many.
Yes. So thanks you guys again for tuning in. Don't forget Thursday. Just tune in or come and watch out for the consensus big board from Chad. Once he drops it to us, I'll put it on our socials. But if you're on X, click on it and download it. It might be something that you can find beneficial. Well, that's it. That's all we have for you today. Until next time, like always, go Browns.